Good afternoon from north central Wisconsin, and welcome to the Sandy Bob Show. I am Sandy Staehling, and I am here with my husband, Bob Staehling. Today, it is Tuesday, March 5th, 2019, and we have another brisk and bitterly cold day here in Wisconsin. Today, we're waiting for our guest, Nog, but we're also going to have on the show Duane the Great Writer, and Claudette, the new seer from Texas. So I'm just going to start with a little something here until we have Nog come on. The old days of masters, gurus, kings, queens, and all other authorities are gone, as their light is only the astral light of secondary knowledge and nothing more. They can still be seen on planet Earth with their ancient wisdom and old traditions, but what they represent has no meaning whatsoever with the whole life is, the all is. The old invented gods and saviors are creations in the 5 multi-dimensions of creation, which are the physical, astral, causal, mental, and etheric, and have always been a marketing ploy to the unaware masses with worshiping and prayer that circulates in reincarnation, creation only. Let me see here. Is he on yet? I'll continue with a little bit here. What Paul Twitchell brought out in 1965 as the rod of power had its presence then in creation and the whole life is. Paul used the contemplation idea to start people off so as to consider more than just their everyday life and that of the common religious and spiritual things that had been around for many centuries. The Real UNUversal Guides at that time were known as masters, and Paul was to start somewhere with what would later emerge as the new now is, life is. Like meditation, contemplation is a consideration to get something from the spiritual world, such as blessings, spiritual growth, out-of-body experience, and so on, which are in the multi-dimensions of creation, all in the lower worlds. All this is fine, but there is a lot more that was not covered back then by Paul Twitchell because it was not time yet. Duane stepped into the real rod of power in 2001, and he was shown to present the is. First attempts to present the is were that of a child, as Paul referred to him as like that of a child. As Paul referred to him. Oh, guess I'm getting off on the wrong line here. The Real Guides also asked Duane to change the identity of the real rod of power. So, as 2007 came along, Duane made it the new wave is. In 2007, the is then became the all is. And today, the all is, the new nowness of the true reality of the allness, all is because most unaware people have been indoctrinated with a certain way, and they want to hang on to the old ways of doing what they have known. Very few will take the risk and learn to see what is real now. Paul's approach in his time here was that of a more of a literalized approach, and is more than evident as to how the existing members of the Joni Takeover Corporation and that of other spiritual religions consider themselves and operate. This is all fine, as it is always a choice. The whole life has nothing to do with the invented systems, as they have been created and considered in creation. Those who are of these systems are tap-lined and hooked to the lower astral realm with the reptilian alien tap-liners known as the rats, who control this planet Earth. Contemplation is to consider ideas that have been created, and the isness, life is, can only be seen with the real you when it is recognized for what it is. Excuse me. Okay. Is Claudia there?
Yes.
Hi, Claudia. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you.
Yes. Why do you think there are so many people afraid to share what they're learning here with the All Is and the new UUU?
Because today's society, all around the world, has been indoctrinated in certain procedures. Some in the religious sense, some societies demand a certain obedience to a leader and that they follow certain protocols, which are not always expansive enough to allow the freedom to explore. So we become indoctrinated into being respectful, to bowing and worshiping in traditional religions. Some religions don't require that. They allow a certain amount of freedom to explore and find out for yourself. As we go along in life, we become aware by waking up to seeing what's going on around us. Some types of countries have very strict government protocols and laws that they require their citizens to follow. Some countries have freedom, but if we're in a particular strict religious organization, we have to follow those rules. It leaves one to the point where, I'll just follow this. I don't see anything better out there. I've been brought up in this religion or in this country, and I do what the rest of the people do because I don't want to be ostracized from the society I live in. As we go along and we read and become aware in this planet of others' investigation, we start looking around and maybe just maybe we notice some difference. And then through noticing that difference, we can expand our life to see the point of others' investigation. Curiosity is a most wonderful part of our lives. To be able to be curious about stuff and going on is one of the most, to me, enjoyable freedoms we have. It sometimes can lead into trouble, but most of the time, if you're careful, you can find out more information about where you live, what's going on, becoming aware of how our planet is functioning, and also to see what other people on the planet are doing. Some people are doing not so good things, possibly polluting the air, polluting the water, changing our food from where it was before. Scientists learn how to manipulate genes and change our food source. It's very sad to see so many people on the planet starving when it doesn't need to be, that doesn't need to happen. We have enough resources where we can take care of ourselves. But if we have a law or a corporation that is interested in its own agenda, then we're suffering. That's why today, for me, looking into the All is one of those opportunities, a very rare opportunity that is given to us from the All is to gain freedom. One of the most precious things we possess on this planet is our freedom. Right now, some people only have the freedom to think or not speak or not explore. It is a natural part of ourselves to find out more about who we are, where we came from, why we're here, and what can be done about our situation to make it better. Mr. Nog is going to give us his explorations and what's going to happen in his life with his protocol. A new way to meet somebody with a different viewpoint. Is this...
Claudia, you're still there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask you another question here. And why are so many people, do you think, afraid to share what they know?
It's a very sensitive subject, the all is, because it requires a person to be brave enough to want to speak about it, a most personal thing, with some stranger. A lot of times, if we're in a good mood, we don't mind. If we're not tired or hungry or sick or whatever. Sometimes, though, if we open our hearts, we can allow ourselves to be free enough to say, yes, I want to know more about the all is. I want to be able to recognize it in my everyday life. I want to be able to become aware of its presence. And to do that, we have to change our focus from outside of ourselves concerning our job or our home life or school life or whatever. If one were maybe a baker, their focus is you have to get up early in the morning, get the flour, eggs, or whatever to make your bread to sell in the shop later on in the day. If one was a soldier, you'd be getting up and checking your equipment. If one was a doctor, you would be on call to help somebody who's ill or hurt or injured. If you're just a mother or a housewife, you'd be tending to your family. That would be the focus of your life during the day. Whereas if you're curious about the all is, you want to see where the all is in each activity that you're doing, from combing your hair or brushing your teeth or fixing your breakfast, maybe having some tea or something like that. In Japan and China, they have high emphasis on properly making tea. I can say a little bit about the situation that we're experiencing right now with the phone connection. Things in everyday life sometimes go awry, and we can't move forward or progress in the endeavor we're working on. Right now, we're trying to connect with a phone in India, several miles away from California. And all we want to do is talk about the all is. And we all notice how much trouble we're having, which sort of represents some affair of our affairs that have trouble, and we're trying to work with it. In the new presentation that Duane Hepner has presented to the world, a help is offered. And it's simple. It's simply singing the new you in the middle of the situation. It sometimes rearranges the events in the universe to allow the communication between two people who want to talk about the all is to go forward. It's very easy to do. You just kind of like sit down or lay down or just find a private moment for yourself and you sing new you. One that calms you down and helps you release the frustration feeling from yourself, and it brings a certain amount of quiet, calm, and peace. And as these feelings evolve, you're able to reach a state where whatever's supposed to happen will happen. Sometimes things are out of our control. Like we're experiencing, sometimes there are negatives that are present in the midst of our lives. And they do everything they can to disrupt our smooth progress. The all is a most wonderful, powerful, exciting adventure. And to seek it out and to explore it personally gives one a chance to open up their lives to become more aware of that which is. The all is. It just is. And how do you find just is when you're doing your homework? Or how do you find just is when you're driving your car? You sing the new you, and you listen internally. You listen inside. You kind of look around and see what is there that is a benefit to others, a help. And sometimes help comes to you in the most interesting ways. Possibly when you sing the new you and you ask a question before you go to sleep at night. Sometimes you have a dream that provides the answer to the question. Or maybe you meet someone at work or in a coffee shop and you hear the answer to the question you have. Your questions are always answered immediately, but we do not recognize them immediately. So sometimes it takes a while before the answer is understood or noticed. And it requires us to give our attention to the all is, which is simply that which is ourselves, our very existence in this most wonderful creation that we live in, that has terrible consequences from the acts humans do to each other and to the planet they live on. We all live on the planet Earth, yet at the same time, we're not always aware of what we're doing. You have to be responsible enough to see, if I throw oil on the ground, this is not good. If I throw oil in the ocean, it muddies the water. If I fly a plane, the exhaust from the plane makes the atmosphere dusty or dirty. So some point in time we may think, maybe I'll seek a different way to travel about. Maybe there's somebody who's come up with an invention that can clean the air, clean the ocean, help the food become more viable for our bodies. Instead of eating so much sugar, maybe we can have fruit or vegetables. It is a time and an opportunity for us to change our lives, but we have to individually wish to do that. Hopefully, someday we'll get to that point. Everybody has a different idea of what is best for them or their family, their loved ones, their children. Every time we eat something that's good for our body, we receive a gift of better health. And so as we go along in life, every moment, from the time we open our eyes in the morning to the time we close our eyes at night, we can explore, find out what the all is about, try to recognize it in whatever we're doing, and then become aware of the presence on a continual basis. It's easy to do. You just sing a new you session and go about your business during the day. And through that activity, you become aware of the subtle differences in your life, transforming something from a mess to a very good outcome. It's hoped that this outcome of this experience, trying to connect to somebody in India, will show a benefit, and we'll be able to see in action what's going on. So as we go along in life, it's an opportunity. I highly recommend singing New You and finding good within yourself and the place you're in, no matter how difficult it is.